Hi, everybody. Welcome to Deep News. Intysam, let's just get started. Just to be clear, you do not know the nature of this target. You're just going to start going through it, but you are completely blind to the identity of the target.
Yep, that's
Fantastic.
right.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Okay, so why don't you just get it going? Start off with your initial perceptions.
All right, so my initial perceptions are of man-made level land. It kind of feels dry here, maybe a little dusty also. Picking up multiple structures, a city, maybe a town, subjects inside and outside, few non-surface structures as well. But for the most part, this is just like it's an urban environment with foliage and subjects, just the usual.
Okay, interesting. All right, sounds good. So, I've got some interesting sketches here on page 5 and 6. And, so then you start moving to the center of the target, correct?
Yeah, so at the center of the target, I pick up a male subject, blue clothing. The subject looks formal, looks to be of like a medium build, maybe somewhat tall or average height, and broader or larger around the torso. Darker skin tone and short black hair. This subject looked to be very well dressed and had some lines on his face. That's where I was kind of placing them. Maybe it's middle-aged or older. Also a slight sag to his face and cheeks.
I see. Okay. Very interesting. So I know you went into a deep mind probe. We gotta label this guy subject A. So what did you get when you started deep mind probing subject A?
Subject A felt like a serious subject with a strict demeanor, no nonsense body language, and this guy furrows his brows quite a bit. The subject's personality seems fitting to what he does, or it's compatible to what he does, and it feels like he has a lot of responsibilities that he takes seriously. Part of his job function is to stop things from moving forward. And his job function, when I probe deeper into like what he does exactly, he works as a sieve of some sort. When things reach him, only a few make it past him. So he stops things where they are and only like a little bit pushes forward. Seems to be quite high in his work hierarchy. Subjects go to see him for various approvals. They feel like they need to grovel. Or he appears imposing to them. So I deducted a judge because of how imposing he is. And part of his work involves meeting with other high-level officials and making deals or certain planning.
Okay, fascinating. All right, so what about the hierarchy? I know you did a more deep mind probe work on the actual hierarchy of the situation that he was involved in.
Subject A has a few subjects above him. I see about 3 subjects who are at the same level with each other. So they're above him, but these 3 subjects feel like they're level with each other. Subject A has nervous energy or fear when thinking or interacting with them. Up to this point, I've only felt a secure stoic energy from him. So he feels the need to please these upper subjects. Yeah. And then I got a male subject who's directly under him. It feels like almost at the same level. However, this might allude to the job function, as there is a subservient energy coming from that male subject. He's like the interface side of the job, interacting with others and delivering A's wishes. So the others, we called those others group M, just to kind of identify them. So we have the top, and then we have A here, and A and group M are on like different tracks.
Okay, interesting. All right. So, you see they're not in the same vertical with the other group. So, all right, interesting. So, I know we started moving to a different probe, the methods of interaction between subject A and the top of subject A's hierarchy. What did you get there?
I got that A and his bosses meet physically. There's a cloak of discretion there, or maybe I'm just saying they meet at night. But I think it's the discretion thing. A, for the most part, gets the general wishes and is meant to execute them. These meetings don't happen very often.
Interesting. All right. Well, you did also a collective deep mind probe on those bosses and their agenda. So what did you get there?
So I got that they keep things running as they have been for a long time. They feel like a dam of holding things back on their side, and the things back that they're holding feels like information and resources. They feel very wealthy. And to them, A serves the function of maintaining their discretion, and he's also really good at what he does, which is carrying out their wishes in a strategic and efficient manner.
Interesting. All right. Wait, what was your continued perceptions there?
So while I was probing for the reason for the boss's discretion, I saw flashes of war and like poor places. So I deducted like their weapons manufacturers. The objects of their discretion seems to be a group that brings a sense of rule and law. So I deducted the government. That's who they're trying. Yeah, that's their object of their discretion. I get a sense of a structure and termites eating from the inside. And I also got the sense that these bosses and Subject A are the termites in this region, but there are other regions with other termites as well. And the structure of rule and law feels not very strong. One second. The structure of rule and law feels not very strong at the present. In the past, it was quite solid, but they expect the structure to change drastically in the future. But the bosses feel very secure in what they do.
Okay, so this structure of rule and law, these bosses are trying to, I guess, be secretive, and they don't want this structure of rule and law to know so much about them, and they're holding back their own resources from this structure of rule and law. And just to reiterate the termite analogy, you're seeing that the structure of rule and law is weakening, and it's being eroded by termites, of which there is a multitude of groups that are these termites. Yeah. One of those groups being Subject A and his bosses, correct?
Yes, exactly.
All right, very interesting. Okay, well, that is a great deep news session. One last time, just for everyone to know for sure, you do not know the nature of this target?
No idea.
Okay, great. So let's jump into it. The nature of the target title was Deep News, Russian Influencers of the United States Elections in 2024. So we always hear about Russian influence here, Russian influence there. We wanted to get to the bottom of what is the Russian influence on the U.S. elections in 2024, if any. So looks like there is Subject A, which is a senior operative working for Russia, who will be successful at interfering with the outcome of elections in the United States through any means and in any way in 2024. So quite a broad net, but yeah, that's just anyone who feels that they were who was successful in any way in sort of manipulating the outcome of the United States election that's coming up. And the bosses were just the bosses of Subject A, so I guess we can equate them to being a greater part of Russia, Russian influence. And focus one, which is the focus that we were basically looking into, the only focus, was by title, just to read off the exact title, A Senior Operative, Subject A, Working for Russia when most deeply involved in doing and planning influencing through any means the outcome of the 2024 U.S. elections during the target month for the given focus. The target time was actually multiple months. It was March to June of 2024.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're doing this, we're recording this in March. So, it's the 25th of March right now. So this is already underway, this target. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, Whoa. It was really fascinating and really great target that you got here. Before I say anything else, you have any other questions or comments?
No, that was really clear. So the end of the session, like the end of it, is like whether the structure changes or not, they're secure in where they are. That just sticks out to me.
Yeah, actually, your session really paints a very good picture of the idea that, from the perspective of Subject A, Russia seems like they are very confident and strong in their resources and their information. They are holding back the full strength of their information and resources from the America, so to speak, with this structure, this group of rule and law, which it sounds very American. You deducted the government. I assume you were meaning the government in the United States when you said that. But anyway, the other thing that was really fascinating was that you had flashes of war and poor places, and this is something that was interesting, because when anyone thinks of Russia with the mainstream media right now, they immediately think of it in the context of the war in Ukraine right now. So, in my opinion, there is quite a lot of evidence from quite a number of people, a number of outlets that are saying that Russia is very much holding back its full might in terms of this conflict in Ukraine. If you listen to certain outlets, maybe they'll have a different picture, but it seems quite clear at this point that Russia is very much holding back quite a bit of their economic and military might from this conflict in Ukraine. And that seems to be a huge part of your session. It seems to be that they are holding back is a big play that these guys are making. They don't want to have their full hand on the table right now. And so holding back and making sure that the world, or this group that brings a sense of rule and law, who we are assuming are the United States, that group is not aware, at least in the public eye, of the level of resources that the Russian group seems to have. And also, this Subject A, from Subject A's perspective, the United States, being the structure of rule and law, seems to be much weaker than it used to be in the past. And it has this termite effect happening to it, where not just Subject A and his bosses, but a multitude of groups are eroding the structure of rule and law, eroding the structure of the United States like termites. So, yeah, it's you got some great data in that.
Whew. Okay.
It really does match a lot of the stuff that's happening in the current geopolitical stage right now. It was you got a lot of formal subjects. That you got this the idea of the violence that you were seeing definitely matches the idea that in the geopolitical stage, Russia's main event, so to speak, is the war in Ukraine. So, yeah, I imagine that whatever they're trying to do, it would be something that would benefit them in that arena. So that does make sense that you would be getting these flashes of war and violence and in urban environments. So, yeah. Any other things to add?
No, it's I guess it's good to get some sort of transparency.
Yeah, definitely. It is very good to get some transparency. I mean, the mainstream media has said since the very beginning of the conflict in Ukraine that the Russians are losing and they're running out of resources. They're all this stuff to make us have this image that Russia is a weak and dwindling force. And very clearly from your session, from a completely blind perspective, you give the perspective that they don't want the Western side of the world to think that they're the big strong guy on the block. They really want to hold back their resources, and from their perspective, they are anything but weak. They have a lot on their side in terms of their strength and their resources and their information, but part of that strength is not letting the West be aware that they are as strong as they are. So definitely valuable to see these perspectives. It definitely paints a broader picture of all the information that's flying around the net these days. So yeah, great job. And any other questions or comments? Final thoughts?
No, that's all. That's all for me.
All right, sounds great. Okay, so thank you very much, Intysam, and thank you everybody else for watching.
Thank you.